What's going on, everybody? Welcome in. Woodward Bets here on a rainy, wet, gray Wednesday here in the Metro Detroit area. I am Beer, joined as always by my boy Scott. Scott hanging out in the studio, living it up. How is things going, buddy? We had a pretty good night last night.
Yeah, can't complain. Always fun to watch some sports. And kind of came in here today to the Woodward Sports main studio, having a lot of fun. Man, Chris, as you know, I mean, you've been here walking around. You got D-Mac walking around. You got Braylon Edwards and Joik Bell and Ryan Hermani and Mazaway and all the other crew here, Stick and Joe. It's a lot of fun here. So always fun to come in, try to come in on Wednesdays, just kind of keep my face around and make sure everybody knows we still work here there, buddy.
Oh, yeah, they know we work here. We're handing out winners, so they know we work here. So let's get over some of the housekeeping first. Make sure you head to Twitter. Follow our page over there at Woodward Bets. So we want to continue to grow that, put more content out there. Follow the network as well at Woodward Sports. Scott is at G_Gyiraszin. I am at Beermakers Fan. So best way to support our show is to go and check out a sponsor of the show, and that's Underdog Fantasy. If you guys haven't tried it out yet, there's something there for everybody. I promise you. A slick mobile app, online, or you can play on your desktop as well. Very easy to use and move around. Buy-ins as low as $1. NFL drafts, NBA, MLB, they have everything there in different prop drafts. So just go and check it out today. And we're going to head you over there, and we're going to get you some free money as well. Use our promo code WSN. That's going to get you $10 off a $10 free on a $10 deposit. So your 10 turns into 20. Thursday night football coming up. We got World Series. Underdog, a great way to handle these games and have some more fun, a little more equity, a little more sweat. Head over to Underdog Fantasy. Again, promo code WSN. Also, every Friday, we'll be doing our sit-start show for your season-long teams. Not as many buys this week, so not quite as treacherous as last week, but a lot of injuries to work through. If you guys have questions, we want to be here to help you. So again, at Woodward Bets, send us your sit starts, your trades, whatever it is that's kind of befuddling you in your season-long leagues. We want to be here to help you out. So, Scott, let's start with a little baseball. We had game one in the books last night. The Braves come out, and we thought Houston would win game one, but we both felt the Braves had a shot in this series, and in fact, I felt like they were the better bet going with the Braves side, plus 125. And they come out, and Jorge Soler sets the tone right off the bat. A home run right away has never happened in a World Series before. So a little bit of history there. But quick thoughts on the game last night. I know we had a few home run best bets. I liked over 8. Remember, we stressed, find the 8, not the 8.5. So that one pushed for us. But all in all, pretty solid performance by the Braves, although they do lose Charlie Morton here. Looks like he's going to be done for the season.
Yeah, you're right about Soler. Start off the game, just absolutely crushed one. And I know he hasn't really been around too much in the playoffs this year due to this. He had to sit out 2 weeks. But yeah, I mean, right away, there was some action. But man, how about Charlie Morton, Chris? Dude breaks his leg, and he literally goes out there and throws 16 more pitches. Ends up striking a dude out, 96-mile-an-hour fastball on top of curveball, and then to come find out he's got a broken leg. I mean, that is amazing to me that he was able to tough that out, especially on his plant foot. So, man, kudos to Charlie Morton. You're one tough son of a bitch. But, man, that impressed me, I must say. But, yeah, really good victory for the Braves. Coming out strong. As I said yesterday, I did bet on them to win in 6 games. I don't expect them, obviously, to sweep, but exciting baseball game for sure. But do feel bad for Charlie Morton that had to end that way for him.
Well, I'm hoping that he's an inspiration for you personally. I mean, you come on here yesterday, you're whining about your shoulder, I'm raking leaves, and I'm hurting. I don't know. I can barely do the show. I'm in so much pain. This guy goes out on a broken leg and continues to pitch, Scott. So let that be an inspiration for you on this raking leaves business. So you got to be a little tougher. Got more Charlie Morton to you.
Yeah, I was in here today and I was telling Maz I was a little sore from raking leaves, and he agreed with me. He said he knows that's real. That's real business.
All right. I got to call Maz out as well then. I mean, this ain't going to work for me, this raking leaves.
Yeah, we don't have beer money where we pay somebody to come over and do our leaves. I got to get out there and rake them myself, even though it is fun. I like to get out there and do it anyway.
Proud to say I
Good
do my
time.
own yard work. Some people love to pay for it, let somebody else do it. To me, it's a couple hours I can put headphones on and get the hell out of my house. So I love getting out there and doing the yard work. Now, I would proudly say I've never hurt myself raking the leaves. So I'm gonna knock on some wood here, and hopefully we don't end up in that boat. But we also had a pretty good night in the NBA, Scott. DFS, obviously the big story was no LeBron. But 2 out of the 3 unders I gave out yesterday hit. That Lakers San Antonio ended up cruising way by the total. Did go to overtime. I believe they went over in regulation, but just barely. But solid unders from Philadelphia and New York. That Knicks defense, like I mentioned, they're barely going to give up 100 points a game. So anytime you get a total that high in that one, and then I figured OKC would kind of struggle to score points, and we saw that one stay under as well. So off to a pretty good start with our NBA best bets so far this season. So we'll hope to continue that. We'll give you some best bets towards the end of the show today. Again, a lot to cover. Baseball, we want to talk free agency. In football, look at some of the most acquired players, some of the most dropped players. Also take a look at some of the spreads and see if there's any line movements we want to talk about. We'll hit on more baseball and more NBA at the end of the show. So, what? We got to get to season-long pickup, Scott. Yesterday was a big day. Tonight, I know a lot of waivers still running on Wednesday night. So, guys we kind of talked about yesterday, Kenneth Gainwell, Boston Scott, a guy that I really kind of gained even more traction on yesterday after we talked about him was Brandon Bolden with the Patriots. I mean, it looks like he's going to be their James White, and he's shown flashes before. This guy is so good on special teams that has never really been given an opportunity to really have a full-time running back role, but we know Damian Harris not going to catch the ball there for New England. They clearly don't want to use Ramondre Stevenson in that role, who we thought would be the guy. So I think Brandon Bolden, a very kind of sneaky pickup. A lot of people still kind of shying away from him, not big expectations on him. So Gainwell, Scott, Bolden, guys we talked about yesterday, Rashad Bateman, Russell Gage. So who were you heavy on last night? Any new names that we haven't really talked about yet here for the people tonight?
Yeah, I went a little light this week on my teams. I did go after Boston Scott on a couple just because I do think that he may just fill right in for that Sanders role, and they might leave Gainwell right where he's at. But I did have a couple teams I did think about adding Bateman. I kind of like what I've seen from him so far. And matter of fact, our guest we had on from Underdog a couple weeks ago actually had brought that up for us. So been keeping my eye on him since then, but I think he's here, and I think he's here to stay. So I like Bateman as well.
Yeah, if he's probably owned in the majority of your guys' leagues, but if he is out there, smaller league, I know there's some 8-team, 10-team leagues out there, I would grab him. And I know there's concerns with Baltimore in the passing game. Is there enough volume? Look, Lamar Jackson's probably the MVP of the league at this point and throwing the ball well. We've seen him pass for over 400 yards in a game. So Bateman was the real deal coming out of Minnesota, and he has not lived up to that billing at all. And the injury kind of slowed him down, but starting to get acclimated to that offense, to me, he's the best receiver they have. I know Hollywood Brown's been great. Rashad Bateman brings a lot more to the table here, so I think he's only going to continue to get better. So if he's out there, really like him. Again, Kenneth Gainwell, probably your priority pickup. Boston Scott, Brandon Bolden, kind of your under-the-radar running back picks. We mentioned Jameis Winston. Matchup with Tampa Bay, Scott. So you get the revenge narrative. You also get a team that we know you can't run against. So New Orleans is an underdog in that game, likely throwing a lot. I know you've been a Jameis Winston stan on a lot of these shows, so I'm guessing you really like him again this week.
Yeah, I like Jameis. I mean, truthfully, Jameis is a great fantasy DFS type quarterback. He throws a lot of picks, so you're going to get short fields that put him in that position to throw. And we already know coming into this game against Tampa that they are going to have to throw. And I do like did like seeing how they utilized Kamara last week out of the backfield, throwing him a ton of balls. So hopefully they continue that. I mean, as we know, if he does dump one off to Kamara, we just need him to beat a couple guys and look out. We could have a pretty big play. So Winston's just a guy, a couple of times, Chris, in the past recent years when he was down there in Tampa. I won a couple leagues with Jameis Winston. Maybe that's why I so fond for him. I just feel like the guy is a risk taker. I think he's a guy that's willing to throw the ball downfield. So I really like Jameis as a guy that you can bring in to maybe help fill in for a bye week. Or maybe you've had some injuries to some quarterbacks. Maybe you were relying on Baker or somebody like that. Well, I hope you weren't relying on Baker, but if you
Right.
were, I think Winston would be a guy that you could fill in.
All right, let's update some of the injuries here that we have. Terry McLaurin, no practice today for Washington. So we've kind of seen this play out pretty much every week. So guessing he'll be fine. Dak Prescott, I know we had some concerns with his calf injury. Sounds like he's going through individual drills today, so it sounds like he'll be okay. Jerry Jeudy expected to return for that Denver offense. So exciting news. I have Jerry Jeudy in a lot of spots, and a lot of people have been waiting on him, pretty high expectations. Sounds like he'll be ready to go here in a good matchup with Washington this week. Antonio Brown, Scott, this one's interesting. I want to take a second here. Says he was spotted at practice with a crutch. So not great news. He's an older guy like you, so he's walking around with a crutch. Maybe he raked his leaves. I don't know what's going on there with Antonio Brown, but they do get Rob Gronkowski back. So and there we got a little live shot of Scott and the leaves. So appreciate that. I love that, actually. So thoughts on Antonio Brown here walking around with a crutch?
Yeah, you're right. Us old guys, man. If you bring up Antonio Brown, when I saw Barkley's ankle a couple weeks ago, it looked like somebody literally put a softball on the side of his ankle, and I thought if that was me, I'd be toast for 6 months. I wouldn't be able to move. But hey, these guys are professional athletes. They can bounce back pretty well, and they have the best medical care, obviously. But yeah, not good for Tampa, but to make it work. But not too concerned. I do like Godwin Evans this week. Obviously, we got Lattimore to worry about in New Orleans, but other than that, I think that game's going to have a lot of passing opportunities in that game.
Bring up Lattimore because he's owned Mike Evans. He's definitely had ownership not only of him on the field but in his head as well. So maybe another Chris Godwin week here for Tampa Bay. Couple other updates. Jarvis Landry not practicing today for Cleveland. Also Donovan Peoples-Jones missed today with a groin injury. Michael Gallup back at practice. So we'll see if they bring him back, but all signs pointing to a Gallup return here. And Mike White, who I know a lot of football, Scott, and I follow it pretty well. But when you get an announcement that the Jets are going to start Mike White at quarterback, this one had me scratching my head. No idea who the hell Mike White is. But we saw that line with Cincinnati run up 211.5 in that game. So and they become a priority on the waiver wire as far as defenses go. So we gave you them yesterday, I believe. Want to reiterate that point. That they are a very good pickup here. And then the Giants, once again, Saquon Barkley, Kadarius Toney, Golladay, Shepard, all kind of questionable and more towards the iffy side on Monday Night Football. So that could make guys like Devontae Booker, who's likely owning the majority of your leagues, Evan Ingram at tight end. I know tight end's been kind of a dumpster fire this year. And Darius Slayton, another name that we didn't bring up that may be on your waiver wire, that are viable options. And then we also have Green Bay. We know are dealing with some COVID issues with Adams and Lazard on the COVID list. So guys like Randall Cobb, Big Bob Tunyon, I mean, these guys are going to have to handle the load here. We'll see if Marquez Valdez-Scantling returns, but keep your ear to the ground on Green Bay for Wednesday night, mostly for Showdown. But your season-long leagues, you may be desperate. Maybe pick some of these guys up. So Scott, it is Wednesday. You know what that means. It's time for our Tilted segment. I know you always have a few things that are pissing you off, so we'll allow you to kind of sound off here. And if you're out listening to the show, we want to hear your Tilted. Send them to Woodward Bets on Twitter, and we'll read them live on the show and sound off for you. We'll be your air horn here. So, Scott, week 7, what has you tilted? It doesn't even have to be NFL. What just has you tilted here in the sports world? What do you got?
I'll tell you what's got me a little tilted in the sports world are these silly taunting penalties in college football. I mean, Iowa State literally had a touchdown taken away because the dude, I mean, if you want to call that a high step, we'll call it a high step, but I thought that was just pretty poor that the referees are controlling a game like that to be able to take a touchdown away. I mean, God forbid if something like that was to happen this weekend in Michigan State game, I think this whole state would be up in arms. But yeah, I don't like that call at all. I mean, I get it. The referee's doing.
Booker, who's likely owning the majority.
Because the dude, I mean, if you want to call that a high step, we'll call it a high step. But I thought that was just pretty poor. That the referees are controlling a game like that to be able to take a touchdown away. I mean, God forbid, rookie. I mean, the kid is 360 pounds Samoan. I don't think you should do that, Aaron Donald. I don't care how big and bad you think you are. I think old Penny Sewell will roll you up, buddy. So I definitely give Aaron Donald a little KMA. And then, Chris, my one that's really bugging me is Jimmy G. As you know, I mentioned I had a chance to win a live final spot. 9 seconds left. Just kneel on the damn ball, Jimmy. Why are you running around aimlessly get yourself hurt with 9 seconds left with nothing even on the line? You're down 12. He runs around, gets sacked, and I end up losing. So Jimmy G, you definitely can KMA. But Chris, I'm still mad about that one, to be honest. Normally I don't let them drag on, but in DFS you got to have short memories. But sometimes those ones are tough to let go.
Yeah, and you and I have been playing this game long enough where those are the ones that stick with you. We've had our big victories along the way, and of course you remember those, but you always remember those ones specifically that you get burned on the end. It's going to happen. You play long enough, you're going to win some of those, you're going to lose some of those. But yeah, those always sting nonetheless. My KMA, something we talked about yesterday, is still bothering me. The Tampa Bay Bucks can kiss my ass because you basically screwed this guy. And again, some will say, man, he got $100,000 out of this deal with the Tom Brady football. If you're not sure what we're talking about, go check out yesterday's show. But they put the screws to this guy and basically made him give that ball back. He probably could have got a much better deal, made a lot more money just taking that football out of the stadium. They try to tell him there's no footage. Here, we'll give you some signed stuff, 2 years of tickets. Give the guy lifetime tickets. Make it worth his while. Give something. Give me 5 Bitcoins. And again, it's not being greedy. It's understanding the value of that football. And this guy got hosed. So Tampa Bay and Tom Brady. I know he's got a lot of fans here locally, but I'm going to put this one on the Bucks. So Tampa Bay Bucks, you can definitely KMA. So let's take a look. Let's get some of the see if there's any surprises on this list here. Leading the way, Kenneth Gainwell, no surprise with the Philadelphia Eagles, likely stepping in for Miles Sanders. CJ Uzomah, number 2 here, another big week for the tight end. Has had 2 pretty good ceiling games so far this season. And that Cincinnati team on an absolute roll right now and get a great matchup with the Jets this week. Greg Joseph coming back off a bye, as is Greg Zuerlein, so they're popular ads at the kicker position. Gyiraszin Johnson, number 5. We talked a lot about him. Definitely was productive in that game. And look, Scott, I think this guy's going to carve out a role here. Nick Chubb is supposed to come back, but we know they love to use multiple backs in that offense. And maybe he steps into that Kareem Hunt role until Hunt's back. So I would not toss him back. I know I've gotten a lot of questions on that. That's why you see him here on the ad list. Randall Cobb and Alan Lazard. Robert Tonyan, some Green Bay guys here. Again, keep an eye on Lazard. He may not play on Thursday night, so he's the one to watch out for. Brandon Bolden, like I talked about earlier, really like the ad of him coming in at 9, and Samaje Perine back a little bit sooner than expected, checking in at 10. So, Scott, any shockers here on this list? All pretty much guys that we've talked about. I don't think there's anything too crazy here. Again, Alan Lazard, the one to watch. He's probably more on the doubtful side of questionable here for that game Thursday night.
Yeah, I mean, like we mentioned with Gainwell and Uzomah, we mentioned yesterday, but Chris, I think it's kind of interesting with Gyiraszin Johnson, especially with some of these teams we've heard recently with some running back troubles. I mean, it could be where we even see Gyiraszin Johnson potentially get traded. That's always an option. We've seen Cleveland before in the past make some trades. So I wouldn't doubt if maybe they give Johnson another shot somewhere if they can get something for him, especially knowing what they have there. I mean, he obviously showcased himself really well the other night. So I think you may get a team. Maybe obviously Cleveland isn't going to trade to their in-division rival Baltimore, who could use a running back, but there are several teams that could use a Gyiraszin Johnson. So I think that's a potential. I haven't really heard anything yet. It's just me more or less talking out loud. I could see that, if I was a GM in the NFL, I might be calling the Browns just to see what it would take to get Gyiraszin over in our camp. But I thought that was interesting. But yeah, really not that fruitful of a waiver wire this week as we've kind of seen in weeks past.
Yeah, if I'm the Browns GM and not the Kevin Costner version, I'm telling you the KMA. You call me about Gyiraszin Johnson. That kid ain't going anywhere. So you're going to have to pony up. He definitely earned his spot on that team, in my opinion. So unless the team is backing up a Brinks truck, I liked what I saw there out of Gyiraszin Johnson. So I don't see Cleveland moving him. Why not have three good running backs? You know, these Kareem Hunt, Nick Chubb have always shown a propensity for injury. So I don't think you can ever have too many in fantasy. I don't think you can ever have too many guys at the running back position on a real NFL team. So let's look at some of the most dropped here this week. Leading the way, Sam Darnold, to no surprise, Scott. We saw P.J. Walker replace him in that game. They're going to give him another start here in a good matchup with Atlanta. So we'll see if he can bounce back. Started off hot early on in the season, but he's kind of fizzled out here. Daniel Carlson going on bye, so he's why he's on the list. Damian Williams, people held on, not sure what's going on. Now you got Khalil Herbert looking good. David Montgomery's pending return, so things are getting dicey there for Damian Williams. Brandon McManus, another kicker let go here. Tim Patrick, and I think this one has to do with Jerry Jeudy coming back. Just hasn't been as productive as we saw last season. Been solid, but not great. Mason Crosby, another kicker let go. Mike Davis, this one's interesting, and I'm not surprised by it. Cordero Patterson is basically taking that job from Mike Davis, so he's getting cut loose by a lot of people. Rashad Penny, healthy, made it through a game somehow, but didn't get a lot of run in that game. Donovan Peoples-Jones, we mentioned earlier, dealing with an injury. And then Marquez Callaway as well. Michael Thomas still a couple weeks away. So, Scott, interesting names here. To me, Callaway kind of the shocker on this list. Maybe Damian Williams, people bailing a little bit too early, but Mike Davis, no surprise at all. Patterson has definitely outplayed him and deserves every touch he's gotten so far.
Yeah, I saw something the other day. Patterson's even getting more and more. He's running more and more pass routes. I mean, they're almost like they're focusing that offense around him. But yeah, Mike Davis, yeah, he's I've been trying to make it a point, and I've had some people ask me about, some of these running backs on teams that just have terrible offenses that may have two or three guys, and I like to try to stay away from them unless I'm really against the wall and I got to have somebody, and I'm talking like the Dolphins, the Jets, and teams like that, Houston, that just are just terrible. The Lions, yes, it may fit that bill along with those teams, but we know they're giving the ball to Swift. They're not really sharing with two or three guys as you see some of these other teams. So Mike Davis definitely fell victim to that as the season's gone on. Cordell Patterson, like you mentioned, he's been a stud for him. So if I had some Mike Davis on some shares, which I didn't, I'd probably look to move on from him as well.
Yeah, I got lucky. He just wasn't a guy I liked early on in the offseason, kind of in that running back dead zone you hear about, those middle round running backs. And look, a lot of them aren't paying off. You got Mike Davis, you have Miles Sanders, you have Josh Jacobs. I mean, DeAndre Swift may be the only one. He started to kind of drift into that territory as we got closer to the season starting. Generally, round 4 was a DeAndre Swift round. So he's about the only one from that group that's really done anything. David Montgomery was in that group. So you could go on and on with some of these names. Guys just not panning out. So, again, no surprise there with Mike Davis. All right, Scott, let's take a look at some of the lines. Let's see if there's any big moves that we want to take advantage of. We talked about that Green Bay game. That game's up to 6.5 now in favor of the Cardinals. A total drop to 50. So, obviously, some concerns with that Green Bay offense being able to be productive. But like you brought up yesterday, last 6 games without Devontae Adams, Green Bay undefeated. So small sample size maybe, but pretty interesting there. A big jump in the Tennessee-Indianapolis total. Opened up at 47. It's all the way up to 50.5. Again, two pretty good offenses. Tennessee has been electric the last couple of weeks, and two defenses that leave a lot to be desired. So not surprised to see that thing on the move. We mentioned Cincinnati and the Jets. This thing just continues to climb. Cincinnati double-digit favorites now. Philadelphia here in Detroit, so local game. We'll stop at this one and kind of pick it up from here, Scott. But Philadelphia now -3.5 here. Can I tempt you into the Lions? Now, I tried to step into this trap last time against Cincinnati at home. I felt they would be competitive. I both discounted how good the Bengals were and how bad the Lions were. So, a double misstep by me. I think the Lions can compete in this game. Philadelphia has not shown me anything outside of Jalen Hurts putting up fantasy points. We love Jalen Hurts in fantasy. I think the Lions can win this game. So with 3.5, I feel pretty good about that. Are you going to tell me the KMA here? Am I crazy putting money on the Lions this week?
That's generally something I try not to do, but you know what? The Eagles stink, if you ask me. I don't think the Eagles are really that good. They're not running the ball very well. All they seem to have is Jalen Hurts. Devontae Smith hasn't really panned out to the guy that maybe I or some others thought that he may be as one of the best wide receivers. Obviously, Chase has filled that role, but you look at the money that's coming in on this game. I mean, actually more money is coming in on the Lions at this point than Philly. So kind of looks like the public agrees with you. It's a little bit weighted, maybe 53, 54% are coming in on the Lions, which is kind of surprising. But, I mean, the Lions are 4-3 against the spread. We saw them cover last week. With that 3.5, I do like it better with 3.5 than 3, just to get over a little bit over that field goal instead of the push, get you the win. But hey, if it goes up any more, I think if it goes up to 4, I think it'd probably be tough for me to hang out to stay off the Lions at 4. I don't think Philadelphia is that good at all.
Lions plus 158 on the money line over at the FanDuel Sportsbook. So we'll see if they make our best bets once we get down to our Sunday show. And make sure you guys mark that on your calendar. Sunday, we go over everything. We cover every single game on the main slate with our best bets. We'll look at props. We'll look at DFS season long. That is definitely our flagship show each and every week. So make sure you guys are joining us on Sunday for that show, and you'll find more information on that over on Twitter at Woodward Bets. All right, let's continue with some line moves, Scott. We got Carolina, Atlanta ticking down a little bit in the total, down to 46. San Francisco and Chicago down under 40. 39.5 in that game. So one of the lowest totals we've seen all season long. Pittsburgh, Cleveland down to 42.5. The Rams in Houston climbing up a little bit from 46 to 47.5. New England and the Chargers up 1.5 on the total, up to 49. Spread drop here as well. Chargers from -6 down to -5. Tampa Bay from -4 to -5 in that game against New Orleans. Total in Dallas, Minnesota up a couple points. As well, up to 55 in that game. Minnesota also from +1 up to +2.5. So a lot of money coming in on Dallas. No major line movements in the Buffalo, Miami, Jacksonville, Seattle, Washington, Denver, or Monday Night Football. So anything else there that kind of catches your eye, Scott, kind of surprises you, something you want to jump on here on a Wednesday? Let's kind of tie a bow on these lines here for today. Anything standing out there from the games we just went through?
Yeah, actually, I was thinking here when we get off, I might have to put a bet on Dallas before that gets up above 2.5. I think Dallas is one of the better teams in football, and I really like him. I know Prescott's beat up a little bit. Sounds like he's going to play, so I don't know if that news was the reason why it bumped up 1.5, but I really like Dallas. I'm not sure if Minnesota is all that, but especially they've had some recent injuries. But I think Dallas is in a pretty good spot here, so I might jump on that before it gets up to 3.
Yeah, and it goes at the early lines. That one I really liked to start the week off. So, it was -1, I think. So it shows you can get a better number. And again, a lot of people going, it's a point. It's a 1.5. How many times just doing this show over the last few months have we seen a half can really help you out? So jumping on things early, things that don't look right to you. I try to go through and give my own spreads, my own totals, and then things that look off, I want to get on right away before they start to move. So just another lesson for people that are new to sports betting. So, Scott, let's go back to baseball here. Let's talk about tonight's game. Again, obviously Atlanta and Houston here. Max Fried against Urquidy. Houston -111 on the money line. 8.5 on the total here. So, overall thoughts on the game. How do you think this one plays out? Any bets you're liking here? What do we got for baseball here on Wednesday night?
Actually, Chris, tonight I'm actually going to go with the under tonight in the game. I know I've been on the over quite a bit. I actually was saying yesterday, I think if you bet the over the whole series, it's probably a plus even adventure over the games. But just kind of looking at these two pitchers, I really like Max Fried. He's been pitching really well. And then your Quiddy. And then if you look and try to see any kind of past history between the two, they only have like one guy that's ever seen the pitchers on the other side. So a lot of times when hitters in Major League haven't seen a pitcher yet, it's usually advantage pitcher. And then we've seen too that both managers already kind of have their bullpen set to where they're, especially Atlanta, they just got 3 or 4 guys they're bringing out, and they're bringing them out in order almost every game. So I think I kind of like the under here in this game. But I'm going to keep rolling with the Braves. I think the Braves are playing well. I think they got a lot of momentum. I didn't expect them to win yesterday. I thought they might be some deer in headlights with all the bright lights and all the hype around being in the World Series. But man, Soler put an end to that real quick with that bomb he hit in the first pitch there. But yeah, I think I'm going to roll with the Braves. I'm going to go again. I'm going to go in the first 5 innings with the Braves in this game. And as far as any kind of like RBI props, I'm gonna keep with Freddie Freeman. So I'm gonna stick with Freddie Freeman today. I'm gonna probably bet on him to get an RBI. And then like yesterday, if you guys get over there and follow our Woodward Bets page, I'll try to get a single game parlay tonight for this baseball game. I'll be sure to post one for everybody. But always exciting watching some World Series starting about 8 o'clock tonight out there in Houston. So looking forward to that. But yeah, I'm going to roll with the Braves in the first 5 innings.
I like that. Taking advantage of Fried and getting a good start out of him. It kind of plays to your under as well, even parlaying those together. I'm with you on the under. Over has been a popular play for us. It's done well for us here. But I really respect it. I think things are going to tighten up here tonight. I like the under as well in this game. You can find an under 9 as well at points bets. So there are 8.5s are what you're going to find, but there are 9s there. So points bet right now is where I'm seeing 9. So again, you like it under, you shop around a little bit. Best price you can find there on that one. As far as an RBI, trying to dig up your Freddie Freeman here, plus 150 on a Freddie Freeman RBI. So pretty solid odds there. So again, head over to Woodward Bets on Twitter. Scott will be giving a single game parlay for you guys, and hopefully you can share that lunch money and maybe join him on one of these lunch escapades coming up here soon. So, Scott, let's transition over to the NBA 10-game slate tonight. So last night, a little appetizer. Now we got a lot of games on the docket, and again, I'm going to stress this every single day that we talk about NBA. Make sure you're paying attention to the news right up until tip. Even during games, you got to be able to adjust on the fly, adjust your lineups. But news is more important in the NBA than any other sport. You're going to get late scratches. It's going to be very frustrating. If you try to make a lineup during the day, set it, forget it, go out to dinner with your wife, your girlfriend, whatever it may be, you're going to come back. You're going to be very frustrated. So make sure that you are paying attention to that throughout the day. So, Scott, let's take an early look at the NBA here before things lock here shortly. But thoughts on the slate, thoughts on any guys you're looking at playing here tonight. I'll give my thoughts as well, and we'll give the people some best bets here in the NBA. What do you got?
Yeah, just kind of looking around. Like I said, I like to kind of look around, go through some optimizers. LaMelo Ball seems to be a guy for Orlando that's just popping all over the place. So I like some. Well, he's playing against Orlando, so I like some LaMelo Ball. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is another guy that I like, and Devin Booker. And I'm not sure about LeBron, but if LeBron's going to be out, I think Westbrook and Bazemore might be pretty good plays to be able to throw in. But Chris, I've been playing some NBA, and I think I've had Valanciunas on my team almost every night. So probably going to continue with that. What's that?
I said he's been solid. It's a good play.
Yeah, I thought you were correcting me on his name pronunciation there. Sometimes I get bad with those, but yeah, I do like him. He's been real, like you said, he's been real solid. But as far as any kind of games, I mean, you look at just looking at over unders at Memphis and Portland games at a whopping 234, and then you got a few others in the 2 teens. That Milwaukee Minnesota game's in the 230. Now we saw Milwaukee play last night, so they're on a back-to-back. So Chris, that kind of does bring up your point about paying attention, especially on some of these teams like the Lakers that got some older players. There's a good chance a lot of them aren't going to play on back-to-back nights. So definitely something to pay attention to as well. And what bugs me, Chris, about the NBA is like 10 minutes before, like, the guy could be warming up, and then all of a sudden he decides he doesn't want to play. So that can be very, very frustrating. Obviously, it's happened to you, it's happened to me, and probably happened to us again at some point. Because if you don't pay attention minute to minute, definitely could have something just go right on by and you're not paying attention. But yeah, a lot of fun so far in the NBA. I know, Chris, you've been hot as can be with your NBA bets. I've been holding my own personally in the NBA DFS streets, which normally I don't like to get in there and play as much, especially when baseball and football is going on. But just got myself in there a little bit, and I think I've cashed more times than not so far this year. So looking forward to tonight and to some baseball and all that other fun stuff. But yeah, so LaMelo Ball, maybe some SGA, some Booker, Westbrook, and maybe some Valanciunas are some guys that I'm looking at.
All right, some guys we know aren't going to play as of this recording. We know Kyrie Irving and his whole disaster obviously is going to be out. Drew Holiday, Brook Lopez going to miss tonight for Milwaukee against Minnesota. We know Pascal Siakam continues to miss time for Toronto, so that's going to open up some things for the Raptors. Fred VanVleet on the high end looking like a good option here tonight. And it's mostly lower-end guys, P.J. Washington, Marcus Morris, Chuma Okeke. Nothing major there outside of some of those big names. LeBron, obviously the big one here. Anthony Davis, also questionable with this back-to-back. So if they're both out, you lock Westbrook in, especially in your cash games. If LeBron is out, we saw both of those guys have massive games. You basically needed to stack that game in DFS with that overtime. And it's kind of what you're looking for in DFS basketball. If you can find which games are going to go to overtime, which obviously very tough to predict who's going to overtime, but that's what you want. You get 10 more minutes or 5 more minutes on each side for your team. So a lot of stacks of that game took things down last night. So as far as top plays, you can never go wrong with a Giannis. He's expensive, but you can find the value. I like your Valanciunas call. Gets a good matchup with Atlanta tonight. I mentioned Fred VanVleet. I think on that same team, Scotty Barnes is playing a ton of minutes against Indiana. Precious Achiuwa, another guy that should see some time there. More value with a guy like Reggie Jackson against Cleveland. And then mid-range, I like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander against the Lakers. So as far as best bets go, Scott, anything in the NBA striking you here? Anything that you're jumping on here tonight?
Well, just kind of picking through here. I think I like the Hawks tonight, given New Orleans. It looks like it's gone from 6 down to 5.5. I just like the Hawks. I like Trae Young and the crew they have over there. So I think I'm going to roll with the Hawks tonight.
All right, I like it. The Hawks. Let's see where we can find your best bet on the Hawks. Looks like -6, -5.5. There's some 5.5s out there, so that looks like the best price I can see on them. Let's see, BetMGM -5.5. So I like that Atlanta call. New Orleans has really struggled, so that one for sure stands out. So let's go to our best bet segment to wrap it up. Scott, you gave Atlanta there. We'll double back on baseball to see what we like there. NFL, we'll wait till tomorrow, obviously. But I'm going to start with an over. I just mentioned a ton of Toronto guys that I like here tonight. I'm going to go over 215 in that Toronto and Indiana game. Both teams kind of struggling off to 1-3 starts here. This total just feels a little bit too low. So I think both of these defenses have left a lot to be desired. I think these offenses are going to score points. So give me the over in that game. Where was my other one? And I'm going to go under in the Milwaukee-Minnesota game. Now, this one's tough. These are two teams that can score, no doubt. But I think this Bucks defense is going to tighten up the screws here a little bit on this Minnesota team. So 230.5 at BetMGM. So I'm going to go under in that one. So just two best bets here in the NBA for tonight. Nothing else really jumped off the page to me. I'm going to stick with those totals. Have been doing us well. So we got Scott's Atlanta pick, my over there in Indiana and Toronto, and the under in Minnesota and Milwaukee. Scott, let's recap baseball again. Best bets for you for Wednesday night.
Yeah, I'm taking the Braves in the first 5 innings. If you get them without just straight up, they're actually plus 100. So get them without juice. I like that. I'm going to roll with the Braves and Max Fried in that first 5 innings. And like you said, I like Atlanta. And then later today, like I said, too, I'll make sure I put together a little single game parlay for some extra lunch money for later. But yeah, so I'm going to stick tonight. My big bet will be Atlanta in the first 5.
All right, I'm going to go under in the baseball game tonight as well. So 3 total bets for you here on the show. Again, under 9 at PointsBet if you guys can find that. So that's what we're locking in here. If it's 8.5, I don't hate it. It becomes less of a best bet at 9. Really like that under there. So that will wrap us up for Wednesday at Woodward Bets. Scott, final thoughts for the people here. What do you got?
Just make sure everybody, you guys get over there, check out our Twitter page, give us a follow. We need to get that up over, maybe see if we can get it. We'll start it out get up at 100. I think we're getting close to 70 now. So I'd like to kind of get that Twitter page up. But yeah, like I said, I'll throw over a single game parlay for everybody, and let's get us some lunch money. And hopefully it warms up for us here, because this cold, rainy weather is not too pleasant, especially after you're beat up from raking leaves.
Yeah, no kidding. There he is. There he is. We snapped that photo. Our boy Easy behind the glass went and made sure Scott was okay. Raking the leaves, took that live photo of him. Scott got his hair dyed there at the Woodward Sports Studio, so that's why it's not gray like in the picture. But maybe you need to take a few days off from the raking of leaves, as we talked about yesterday. So I want to thank everybody for tuning in, supporting the show. We greatly appreciate each and every one of you. If you guys have any questions for us, please reach out at Woodward Bets. If you're wondering, hey, how do I do this? How do I get on a show? How do I produce content in the fantasy world? Please reach out to either one of us or, again, at Woodward Bets. We'd love to give the opportunity for more people to get into the space. So if it's anything you're interested in, you're listening right now, you feel you could do it, hell, you feel like you could do it better than us, let us know. We want to hear from you on that topic. So best of luck to everybody tonight in your DFS, your bets, and hopefully the best bets continue to stay on a roll for you guys. For Scott, for our boy Easy behind the glass producing the show, I am Beer. We are Woodward Bets. Thank you for watching. We'll catch you guys tomorrow.